morning, ladies and gentlemen. I first of all just try to pick up the key words in this conference and then address my thoughts around those key words. Let me see. I think I'm stuck here. Yeah. Okay. So I've been introduced. I will not repeat this. Maybe my key claim to my standing here is because I was in the government for 24 years, head of public housing agency and chief planner of Singapore. And I've done many overseas projects, as you can see, city planning, and also in some architecture work as well. I'm both architecture and architects in city. So what I want to say is that I'm an architect planner, not unfamiliar with Asian planning city, and it's from that angle I'm going to talk to you. And there are three parts. One is some key ideas about city planning, because real estate is inseparable from city planning, so I'll talk about that. Then I'll talk about the relation between planning and real estate, and then a short comment on Asian civil urbanization. So the thing that in urban planning, which is I feel not often understood, is that the job of a planner is to translate words and data into spaces, into functional and beautiful spaces. That is a short statement, but it's very, very, very hard to achieve. And that's why a lot of city planning work is not done well, because after the words are spelled out, people think that the job is done. Actually, it's a long, arduous journey from words to spatial arrangement. And the other thing is that there's a tendency for people involved in planning to address symptoms rather than the causes, because this is like a Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine often say that, you know, there's a tendency that if your left hand is painful, then you cure the left hand. But in Chinese medicine, if your left hand is painful, the cause will be in the right leg. And they have to trace to the cause itself. And I'm happy to say that in Singapore, with the strong support of the government, we have managed to do that. So, therefore, my view is that the relation between design, technology, and innovation is that design must lead technology, because then you put technology in it to its best use. And so let me just elaborate on that point. To the connection between design, technology, and innovation is that first, you must try to understand the basic human needs. There's a tendency to say that since society is changing so fast, how can you make long-term plan? I don't agree with that. The basic human needs in a society, in a city, doesn't change for hundreds of years, centuries. And it's very hard to identify the basic human needs, but it's a job of a planner to do so. So once you have the basic urban needs, human needs, then you try to create a design to meet the needs. But the design should be done to future standards. So in my view, if you design to the future standards, that to me is the true definition of innovation. But there's a tendency to say, well, we have to look to the future, we have to have new ideas. But the most urgent task, the most meaningful task, is to design to today's needs, but to the future standard. That's my definition of innovation. And where technology comes in is that after you have a good design, you apply technology. And I am not dismissing future orientation, I'm not dismissing innovation, but if that white box is like a piece of cake, which is very delicious, the future orientation, innovation, just the icing on the cake. It's necessary to have, but it's not addressing the urban problem. That's my view. Okay. And this is the view accumulated from my past experience in the government. So actually, the urban needs is unique, a wisdom to identify it. But the reason people don't spend much time on design is because it's a lot of hard work. A lot of backroom hard work nobody knows about. It's totally unglamorous. And then technology, people like it because you can buy. And future and innovation, these ideas is exciting. No much hard work, but a lot of recognition. That's why we don't put enough attention on design. Now, I want to talk about science, value science and art. Intelligent planning requires three things. People often ask me, how do I plan city? Well, you have to have the right value, you have the right scientific head, and an artist's eyes. And if we have these three, I think you can, and these three qualities would be applicable to both urban planning and property development. If you don't have the scientific head, you get flood, you get air pollution, you get traffic jam. And if you don't have the artistic eyes, what happens is that if you treat this woman's face on the left with feeling, she looks pretty. The one on the right, without feeling, that's the way she looks. And some of you may get angry with me because how can a planner and an architect with bachelor degrees or even master degree do such a thing to a city? Well, they do. You see, the one on the left with feeling, the one on the right, you see them all over the world. Yeah. So this is a big danger to urban planning today. And so in summary, you must have humanist art, scientist head, and artist eyes to give the city spiritual beauty, inner beauty, and outer beauty. To give a sense, citizens a sense of nostalgia, a sense of being in a healthy place, a sense of beauty. Now on science itself, okay, I want to say that this is again often missed out, is that we must have definition and quantification of everything. We say we plan city. I ask many people, what is a city? They can't answer. If you don't even know what is city, how do you plan? I ask many people, what would be the optimal distance between two parallel expressways? They can't give me an answer. So then how do you plan? So we must have definition and quantification of everything. So that a good city plan must have the right things, right sizes, right ratios, right places, and create the right chemistry. That's how you get a lively city. Definition, I want to say that this is normally when you have a mega city, below that you just have small neighborhoods. But actually, because I work a lot in China, and China has, one Shanghai is bigger than the entire Australia in population. So I'm developing this concept of constellation city. That means if you have a city of over, say, 5 to 10 million, it's like a great grandparents in a family. Below that you have family, you have parents, you have children. And Singapore, being a small place, we don't have great grandparents, we have grandparents. Small as it is, we still subdivide Singapore into smaller units like this. Okay, it's about subdivided into 5 regions, 20 odd towns. And then we, and then without the subdivision, all the traffic will come to the central business district. But with subdivision, some of the traffic will go from the regional center. Further subdivision, some of the traffic will go to new towns. In fact, some further traffic will go to neighborhoods. That's how Singapore, we managed to have high density, large population, and yet not a lot of traffic problem. But it's also helped by having the MRT lines. Okay. Now, so when it comes to real estate, no man is an island, no property is an island. We have to relate your property to the surrounding. So in planning real estate, I'll just give you an example. For example, in Shanghai, I did try to analyze the patch of area in the blue, and then, first of all, organize it in neighborhoods, at new towns, and then in regions, and then create the plan after analyzing. You don't just go straight into the... My job was to do the planning on the red dot on the right, but I have to analyze, go through the process to do that, so that this red dot area is well related to the surrounding area, like this. Okay, and then time is running out. So, and in another Shanghai project, again, this is the original plan. It's disorganized. So I tried to organize them into 3 new towns, and then focus on actually the site that the client wants us to do is the purple dot. So I give it a status. This is a regional center, and then what my job is just to do that tiny triangular site. So after having done all this, then I come to the proper job that the client wanted me to do. But this is, Shanghai is actually part of the so-called water towns around the Yangtze River. So in 3D, I try to give it a kind of water town type of flavor, high-rise water town. In Zhuhai, I did this thing 14 years ago because it's well related in context. So until today, it's still fetching the highest price in Zhuhai. It's like this. And in Guilin, again, this is a few years ago, it's fetching the highest prices in the city. And of course, don't forget, I also work in Singapore. This is ESSEC Management School. I try to do it again in context. So I think for a city planner and a city government, we need to have good planning, good city, so that it's good for the people, and therefore you attract good projects, and those projects will get good profit. That is my thinking, the power and contribution of city planning. Well, for developers, you have to you want to do something that's good for the people, because if you want to do something for the people, your project must be related to surrounding context, and then produce a good project. If you do that, you get good profit. So things good for the people is consistent with things good big profit. So finally, I want to say that in ASEAN, in Asian urbanization, the challenge is huge. Okay, why? 60% world population living on 30% of world land in Singapore, very high density, is unlike the other continents. So we have a challenge of dealing with high density. And still 50% of rural-urban migration, so rapid, large quantum of urbanization. So we need to rethink the approach to urban planning and develop new methodology. So, and what's the amount of work that we have in just India, China, Indonesia. From now on, we may have to build 9 USA. That means every building in USA, in Asia, we have to build 9 of them. Every sewage treatment plant in USA, we have to build 9 of them. So it's a great opportunity, but also important mission. So finally, time is up already, but finally I want to say that I also got involved in the One Belt, One Road in the Yunnan province. So in the process of doing that, I tried to analyze the new routes for One Belt, One Road, and also analyze the structure of the whole province, and subdivide them in the region. This place has only about 60 million people. And then after that, I worked out the plan of the provincial city. This is our original plan. And existing city, this is the original plan. And restructure in a way according to the theory I mentioned. And what is very exciting is that in the process of doing that, 2 Singaporean developers wanted me to plan this area as the ASEAN Industrial City, and that becomes a real project for the One Belt, One Road system. Okay, thank you very much.